Namaste, Galactic family, and welcome back to my channel, IndigoAngel. Come on into this dimension, guys. Be sure to subscribe, hit that notifications bell, and comment and share this video, as the energy right now is buzzing. I don't know if you guys can feel it, but everything is definitely at a much heightened level of frequency that you can almost hear a constant ringing in the ether. Okay, it's an elevated, it is a soft, excited energy, but it's definitely there. I can hear it in my ears, I can feel it in my heart, I can feel it in my mind, and everything is super, super heightened at this time. And because of that, more has come through today. So apparently another satanic monument is gone, guys. This is an obelisk that is in Vigan city, officially known as the city of Vigan. And I don't know if I'm saying that correct or not, so you can correct me in the comments if I'm not saying it correctly, but this is a capital province in the Philippines. And it's located on the western coast of the large island of Luzon, facing South China Sea. It is an UNESCO World Heritage Site and is one of the few Spanish colonial towns left in the Philippines that has remained mostly intact. Well, not today, not anymore. Bye-bye, satanic monument. Okay, so remember how I have talked about the obelisks with you guys in the past and the functions of the obelisk according to a grid obelisk connection, a network of obelisks that basically run currents of a particular type of energy, a PDS type of energy, through to other monuments, such as the Washington Monument, such as the Cleopatra's Needle in London, takes you through the political and the banking institutions, the Cleopatra's Needle also in New York City, the Luxor Needle in Paris, France, the Luxor Needle in Egypt, Heliopolis, Egypt as well. There's so many more. I mean, I'm just barely touching on the intensity of this obelisk network, but basically all of these obelisks are carrying the ancient Egyptian pharaonic energy originally made from the 18th dynasty by Pharaoh Thutmose III. Okay, this probably came down through a lot of other pharaohs as well, but he is one that was supposedly they had taken the original phallics from his dynasty, that how we're taken to Paris and things like this. Okay, so the energy of the obelisks and even the energy in ancient Egypt, a lot of this was taken over by the DRACOs. Okay, and the pharaonic energy has become possessed. They say that the pharaonic energy has gone into the Catholic priest and the Pope in Rome. And this is where the manifestation of the pharaonic energy, Catholicism, that's what it's actually built upon, which is actually a male sexual energy. Okay, and so it also runs through other areas and gate sites. The obelisk networks also run down to Peru, ironically. Right? Everything coming up right at this time when I should be packing my suitcase, but I'm sitting here going, like, what is going on? And so it's running this obelisk network down to Peru, energetically speaking. And this is a lot of the same energies when I'm talking about those DRACO invasions that came up through the tunnels in Lemuria, and they had all these invasions. It's the same energy that destroys the gender principles back in ancient Lemurian times by installing the false twin flame tags, and by slaughtering and murdering the fifth dimensional twin males and raping the fifth dimensional twin counterparts and females. So no, I do not think that the obelisks stand for something good. I think that there is satanic and Freemasonic symbolism that is encoded within the obelisk, that encodes it into the landmass, which encodes it into the energetic vortexes and gate sites, which encodes it into the plasma field, which encodes it into all of the miasma and the cones and the crystal seals surrounding those gate sites. And so I think that the obelisk represents the male phallus dominating the earth body, impregnating the divine mother. I did a huge breakdown about this with a Vatican remote view that I did, and how the obelisk is sexualized in the ovum of the Vatican. So it's some interesting stuff, guys. If you want to go down that wormhole, I'll leave a link here in the description to the last Vatican video I did, where I think I really kind of covered the obelisk situation more extensively. But essentially, this one here, it's the historic obelisk of Juan de Salcedo, founder of Villa Fernandina in 1572. This was recently struck by lightning, apparently this afternoon, today, July 7th, 2022. What are the odds? You know, we got all of these nefarious encoded holding architecture, okay, being struck by lightning. Okay, they say that pieces of mortar and brick was scattered around 15 to 20 minutes away from the site. And the word is, okay, this is what I have heard from a couple sources now, is that 34 other satanic buildings are to be hit by the rods of God, blown up by new military technology that will blow up these buildings. So I don't know if you guys have heard about the rod of God. So I was curious about this rod of the gods and decided to look these up. I'm thinking the actual rods that are coming down from the heavens. Okay, electricity, bolts of lightning. I'm literally thinking literal like that. But then I, of course, look into this, and no. I found two things here. And one is kinetic bombardment. So I'm going to just screen share this Wikipedia page with you guys. Okay, kinetic bombardment. Now, I think that this kinetic bombardment is the energy behind the rods of the gods. It says here, Project Thor, kinetic strike, for generic concept of attacking a planetary surface from orbit. So orbital bombardment, kinetic military action. A kinetic bombardment or a kinetic orbital strike is the hypothetical act of attacking a planetary surface with an inert projectile from orbital bombardment, where the destructive power comes from the kinetic energy of the projectile impacting at very high speeds. The concept originated during the Cold War. So that's really interesting. Cold War has been coming up a lot, and I have been seeing more connections to Cold War technology being mentioned. Typical depictions of the tactic are of a satellite containing a magazine of tungsten rods and directional thrust system. So it's all about just like an airstrike that comes from the sky. Now, I did look up some other things about this, some other articles. So this one's saying rods from God, space-launched darts that strike like meteors. So this technology is very far out in miles and years. So they say. This was published in 2004. So we are in 2022. This is old, but it's supposed to come from orbiting satellites hundreds of miles above the Earth that would serve as a weapons system. And I was just talking about these directed energy weapons, okay, and the activation of CERN. So this does seem like an advanced technology, missiles that travel at hypersonic speeds, and they could be potentially very completely devastating. I hope who's ever in charge of these rods of the gods has a very specific mission that they're up to, because it does look like these can go conventional or nuclear. Apparently, there were outer space treaties in the nations that were ratified in the 1960s that were prohibiting from them placing nuclear weapons or other weapons of mass destruction in orbit or on celestial bodies or stations from outer space for them to be able to weaponize space. But it's actually saying here that nobody knows if anybody's actually adhering to this. And it's actually saying in most cases, people are probably not following any of these rules. And so, yeah, this is a Cold War project that comes from large rods of tungsten, high density, high strength metal. And it comes from literally falling out of the sky and targets locations on the earth. So this is, very interesting to look at all of this. I think somebody even posted a comment on the last video I did, and they put rods of the gods. So, other people are putting the connections together here. But essentially, the word is that 34 other satanic buildings are to be hit by the rods of gods. So it could be this new level of directed energy weapons that are responsible for the Georgia Guidestones demolition. Okay, like I said in the last video, I was picking up that this had something to do that came through that was directly connected to CERN and the development of potential hypersonic missiles that could either be, being powered from CERN, this type of thing. But it does leave us with this potential of 33 other satanic buildings. So what else is going to get striked next? Today I kept seeing the White House all day. I kept getting messages of the White House. I kept seeing the White House, and I'm like, what is it that what message am I supposed to take from seeing the White House? I've been seeing that. I wasn't exactly sure why. I also kept seeing the Washington Monument and the Vatican Statue of Liberty. So my question is, will this be something that keeps happening up until the final illumination of a bigger event? It does seem like we are definitely going through a radical transformation. This does feel like these are a lot of signs that things are going to change, things are going to shift. Some are saying that these were actual lightning strikes. The rods of God are actually directly that. It's funny because Graham Hancock actually just put out a book today, I think called The Magicians of the God, where he's talking about similar stuff, kind of like rods of the gods, but magicians of the gods, saying that a cyclical meteorite impact strike, a destructional strike on the earth could potentially happen, that this happens every so many 12,800 some odd year cycles, that the earth is devastated with nuclear impact. Is this a catalyst for this potential ideological probability of the rods of the gods, that this is some sort of natural strike from meteorite impact? Okay, it's a lot of strike. The word strike just keeps coming up, right? Whether it's artificial, man-made, weaponized, organic, or celestial, the word strike. So is this preparing us for something like the Armageddon, for some form of a grid blackout? Or is this preparing us for the 3 days of light, for everyone who is carrying the diamond encoding? This radical shift and radical transformation may be different for every single person according to their biological markers of their genetics and their ascension capacities, period. If you are not at 12-strand DNA activation, you will not experience the 3 days of light, or will you? Okay, is this going to be something that brings us all together in unification, merging of bloodlines, tetramorphic capacities, bridging together all of the white ray lineages, all of these things? Is that something that is going to not leave anybody ultimately behind? Okay, I think everyone has such a different interpretation of all of this right now. Whatever it is, guys, it is surely a sign. Okay, a lot of you are so happy and you're like, the light is winning, and these are all of these beautiful signs that, and I agree, I have been celebrating I have been buzzing. My energy has been buzzing. It's really bringing me back to the original prophecies that I've been talking about. Do you guys remember when I told you about what would happen when the Dove light grid expands from Canada to the North and South Americas and through the Turtle Islands? When all of this comes back online, that the expansion of freedom would begin in phases. See, what's tripping me up the most is the paradox of it all that plays out, right? Everything simultaneously that seems to be so nefarious at the same time is prophecy provoking. So we're completely living in this paradox, and it does feel seemingly absurd and self-contradictory, the statements that we're making, going back and forth between, is this organic revelation, spiritual prophecy, or is this nefarious, artificial strikes, directed energy weaponization? Okay, so it's interesting. It all is to be well investigated, that is for sure. But the expansion of freedom would begin in phases. So one of the beginning phases of the prophecy would be to strip the demonic energy off of the architecture. So if you guys go to my website, IndigoAngel222.com, and go to the Dove Grid, New Earth Grid Templates, Healing of Hybridization, Traumas, Expansion, and Prophecy 2200, scroll on down to the waves of the Dove awakening in steps. So this will be done in a light order that justifies the presentation of the expanding dove. So this is the light templating that exonerates the light. Okay, so all of the good that we're seeing, all of the peace and freedom codes, all of the what appears to be strikes that are taking down nefarious agendas, collapsing portals and wormholes into nuclear pools and death currents and devastation. Okay, so as this Dove awakening happens, it expands from the heart and dormancy in the North Americas to expand into the world according to the unfolding prophecy, when great geological upheaval shifts and completely alters the earth to be representative to the new lands of the new world, into the birth of the seventh root race from the swaddling lands in Brazil. First, the dove may expand through the white lion grid, as the white lion is its protector. It can flourish through this network and find its way into places of deep darkness, detriment, despair, and prophesied pain and suffering by having the beast of cosmic rishis as its shield, unaffiliated to the crucifixion. This will come as a rising of the protectors of the Divine Mother, the Sophianic Grail. And we have been seeing a huge surge of the Sophianic energy come online. That's why we have particular gate sites opening up that represent the home and the house of the true Sophianic divine feminine spirit. Okay. A great womb healing, a great womb cleansing is coming through. You can also see this through the Albion templates, okay? King Arthur templates, the white dragon lineages, the purity rays of the divine masculine. The next awakening within this comes as the code of guardianship. Okay, so those who are ready to step into parental roles. And then the next process of the dove will come through activation of particular sites. Now, I think this is where we are with the Obelisk in the Philippines, with Georgia Guidestones in Georgia, where the demonic encoding will be stripped from symbolism. Locations like the Statue of Liberty, the Liberty Bell, waves of restoration. That was another thing I was seeing today was the Liberty Bell, the White House, the Washington Monument, Germany, France, the UK. Okay. We just had Boris Johnson and his staff. They resigned. Okay. That was a little bit of surprise. Is London bridges falling down? What's going on over there? Okay. We have this demonic symbolism and encoding being swiped off of the sacred sites. More Lemurian templating will activate the global decoding of the selenite rods that keep the pylon network of the planetary J seals, holding the fabrics of the dove contained to North America, holding the fabrics of the anti-female codes, the anti-female death screens. Okay, all that will be released, and the hijacking and siphoning will be released. This is very important because this is the collective pinnacle point of the total release of the global crucifixion wounds, completely restoring the seventh dimensional planetary monadic structures. So now once this releases, guys, and if we go through this great transformation of 3 days of light, let's say that this comes through the third week of July. Let's say this comes through by the end of July sometime. And I'm not saying it will. I can't make any promises. I can't make any guarantees, but it does feel like we are leading up to a culmination of something, especially if we have 33 more satanic sites that are going to be striked. I mean, in order for the spheres of the dove to be released and the light cities to come online, all of these phases and processes actually have to happen through the heart of the Nephites, which are considered the ancient Americans, which everybody here in Canada and North and South America are holding the genetic land codes to this. So this is where the stations of light command will present themselves. And on a higher parallel level, this is ultimately coming from the future drawing energy to collectively build from what is considered the crystal seas and all of the diamond architecture of the future. Polar regions will ultimately melt all of these things into the future of the 22nd century. So it is a lot. We are literally living in a dream walking state right now. We are living in the prophecy as our current reality. And so overall, guys, I just want to say congratulations with the Georgia Guidestones. I know a lot of you have been ultimately celebrating. It's really does feel like a victory for the higher consciousness community. And so it's really interesting. I have been looking more into this. I kind of went back and reviewed the video that I did of the energy update at the Georgia Guidestones that I put out, Astral Warfare and Nuclear Portals. And I was rewatching some of it today. And I realized that as I was filming the video and doing this portal collapse, okay, I was actually sitting on the corner of the Hindi Swahili side, the southeast corner. Look where I'm sitting, guys. So I'm sitting here. This stone is the southeast corner Swahili Hindi stone. What are the odds that I did that portal collapse right there on March 13th? I know the date in the video says premiered March 14th, but I filmed it on the 13th. Okay, I did the portal collapse at time marker 3213 on 3/13/2022 on the Hindi Swahili stone corner, the corner that was striked. I just find it so wild. I'm like, what are the odds of all of this? That it's all divinely aligned like that. Look at my picture here. I was sitting here, somewhere over here. This was the stone that was striked potentially by the rods of the god. Okay, that's a much more interesting probability right now as to what ultimately it was that took out the stone. But yeah, so I was actually sitting right over here in the southeast corner. And I'm not saying that I was directly the reason responsible energetically for any of this. I definitely wasn't responsible for what happened here on any level of truly implementing something like this. But I mean, on an energetic level, I couldn't have thought that me going there would truly potentially make such an impact. But I do feel connected to the collapsing of the portals there. I mean, that's what I did energetically, spiritually. I went and collapsed those portals down, everything that was nefarious. And I truly went there with that intention and that belief. I do think that this is a light worker team effort across the globe, to be honest with you. This is an entire grid worker family that I think as a whole has been working diligently to collapse down these dark areas on the Earth's grid. And I think we all have felt like it has been such a calling to dedicate ourselves to a mission into the Earth, to the Earth force. And so I think as a soul group and as a soul family, that when we put our minds together, okay, whether that's telepathically, whether that's remotely, whether that's through the astral, whether that's through meditation, but whenever we really put our minds together, we are going to see the reflection of that in the world, of what we truly need and want to see. And it's like this echo is going into the super consciousness field of the earth and is responding to us. So it's really miraculous, I think is the word ultimately. But there was just one other thing I wanted to show you guys that I thought might be interesting to you. This is my Georgia Guidestones map, basically, where I have charted the stones here in Georgia and kind of just linked some ley lines to them. So this is the stones here, Georgia Guidestones. And one thing that I was looking at today while I was just kind of tuning in more to all of this, I think one thing to know as well is that Atlanta itself does sit on the 33rd degree parallel, which is a highly paranormal active ley line. It carries a lot of celestial energy, a lot of energy from the Stargate locations, and all of the hijacking that goes along with that. So it's a very active ley line that runs through about seven to nine major Stargate locations on the Earth. And it does carry a lot of the PDSs and patriarchal energy as well. All of the warfare codes run along this ley line particularly, and everything that really does happen cataclysmically, that are some really crazy stuff. I could pull the list, but there's a whole list of things that have happened specifically on the 33rd parallel, the Georgia Guidestones now being one of those things. So for one, it's a big deal that this is sitting on the 33rd parallel. Another thing that's a big deal about this is that the Swahili and the Hindi stone in the southeast corner, which I was sitting at, that was the stone that was striked. This stone actually points down to this location here. That location, the Hindi Swahili stone, is pointing down to the Kings Bay Naval Submarine Base at St. Mary's in Georgia. This area has also extensive heightened levels of paranormal activity. I say paranormal because it's a lot of like ghost hunting stuff that goes on there, but it's more than just that. We know that, guys. It's astral, it's etheric, it's causal, it's ketheric, it's multidimensional. It's just charged. The energy is highly charged. That this is also a nuclear naval submarine. And I do feel that everything that is going on has to do with nuclear energy. Everything that is going on has to do with directed energy weapons that are being powered nuclearly, underground tunnels that are being dug out and tunneled through nuclear energy, nuclear power plants. I do believe that this Alvin W. Voigt, which is pointing in the southeast direction of the Hindi Swahili stone that was striked, is pointing in the direction of a nuclear power plant. That's what this is here. And then this is a nuclear naval submarine base that carries the symbol and the mark of the trident. So this Kings Bay Naval Submarine Base carries the trident. So it's working with the energies of Poseidon, Enki, Shiva. Okay. Someone said to me today that the Shiva, the destroyer right now, was in the destructive dance of Shiva, that Shiva was now doing his destructive dance. And that really resonated inside. that the father principle of Shiva is this photonic gamma atomic radioactive nuclear energy transmission that comes through the grids. And in Hinduism, the universe is thought to essentially regenerate in cycles. And Shiva is the one who comes at the end of each cycle and destroys the universe to allow for the new creation. Everything that comes to an end just means a new beginning. And it's just a part of our cycles. But we could be definitely in a Shiva cycle right now. Like I said, for some that are not holding the highest potential within them, okay, they're going to be feeling the wrath of the destructive Shiva dance more than those that are light as a feather, okay, those that whose heart has been purified of karma, purified of self-hatred, purified of destruction, their connection to portals, dark portals and wormholes, all of these things, right? So it's really interesting. I do feel that that was a sign. The trajectory of the Hindu Swahili southeast corner was a sign to other things that could potentially energetically be connected. Like I told you, the opposite stone is pointing in the northwest direction. This is the Russian and the Chinese stone. So that I also feel like means something as well. These are indicators. These are underlying symbols that allow us to have the energetic clues and foresight as to what is really going on. So on some level or another, mark my words, I think it will prevail or prevent or show itself at one point in time or another that the Russian and the Chinese somehow energetically are going to be connected to some of these things, some of these happenings. So we should be paying attention to that, I think, wholeheartedly, 100%. And yeah, guys, so as more comes up and more unfolds about this, I will probably jump on and make a video and just leave some comments down below. Actually, let me take a second here to just double check the comments. Some of you put some really good stuff on the last video that I did. A lot of you just were really putting how happy that you are about this. Everyone really is just so ecstatic. There's so much energy. Like I said, it's buzzing. Everyone is so happy, feeling like the light is winning. Everyone is just so grateful, actually, that this had happened. Everyone feels change is coming. Everyone is saying that the light is what is needed, and we're returning everything back to the natural light state and organic order. I agree, you guys. This is amazing. Kristen W. put, watch Phil Godleski on Rumble. He does a video today called Current Events. He said exactly what you picked up on Indigo. He said CERN is in the hands of the White Hats, and they turned it into a direct energy weapon and used it to take down the Georgia Guidestones. So that's interesting that you both said the same thing. Yes, it's true. I do feel that all of this is connected to one another. So everyone just feels like so much healing is coming. Yeah, this is all great. Dismantling of the control grids. Yep, that's what's happening, guys. And so it's true. All of us Starseeds have been working our butts off. We've been traveling. We've been coming together in groups, group sessions, remote sessions. And we are collapsing the dark portals down. We are doing this work. So yeah, this is everybody's like heart that's in this. Everybody's win together. And yep, they were demolished about, it's funny. I put that video out and they were demolished about 20 minutes after I put that video out. So that was really interesting. I guess I'm in alignment with the happening of it all. Oh, some other things. Someone, Sheila Nagel says the Leaning Tower is also crumbling and the Three Gorge Dam is bursting. Okay, 2 more sites that are, I looked that up. That's both of those are true. So yeah, guys, thanks for posting so much amazing comments. Yep, Deborah Waters here says the rods of God. Yep, that's what we're looking at now, guys, is the rods of God. So yeah, it's everyone's saying that it needs to happen now, not in 500 years, not in 1,000 years, not in 2,000 years, not the next decade. It must be now. We might be getting our wish, you guys. So yeah, anyways, well, I love you all. I hope you have an amazing rest of your night, and I'll be back with another video. Namaste.